Hello guys, welcome to today's session. And today we are actually going to explore some more methods of strings, or we can call it as string methods or string functions. That is in real time going to help us to deal with various kind of string operations. Whenever you want to actually check if the value contains alphabets or the value is containing only digits, or value contains like alphanumerics, or value is only space, those kind of operations we can actually check. And ideally I call this as checking the type of a particular value. For example, let's say for example I'm just giving the message is containing a message is containing just 1 second. Message, I'm having a message here, and message is containing, we'll do one thing, I'll just type it in notepad first, and then I'll just bring this here. Now message equals to hello. Now I want to print whether this message is containing only alphabets. How do I check it? Whether it is actually only alphabets. That's a message one I can give here, message one containing hello space world. Then message one. Then I can specify here like message two is my password. I can specify my pass 123. This is alphanumerics. And then if I'm giving message 4, this let's say containing only spaces, 1 space, 2 spaces, multiple spaces. And then message 5 containing only alphabets, let's say for example sample space dollar at the rate pound and some special characters. And message 6 I can specify here, let's say sample, and then 123, then sample 1. So in this case it is only alphabets, and we can actually use a combination of cases. Okay, and in this case also you can see like it contains alphabets, and then lowercase and capital case alphabets, and then space. And the third message contains alphanumerics, and fourth one is containing only space. Fifth one is actually containing fifth one containing alphabets followed by some special characters and space. And the message 6 is containing alphanumerics and as well as spaces. Now if your requirement is to identify the type, like is it containing only alphabets, is it containing like only alphanumerics, is it only digits? Let's say for example I'm just putting here another message 7. Message 7, this is again a string, and which is containing let's say customer ID, whether it is like a valid customer ID, is it containing only digits? Like how do we check this using the string functions? We are actually going to cover it today. So now to cover this, we do have various types of string functions, and it is like, let's say for example to check the type digit, it is like now is digit. If you want to actually check if the type is actually alphabet, okay, we can actually definitely do alpha function. Okay, we can definitely do use is alpha function. And if it is like alphanumerics, we can definitely use is alum. And then we can definitely use, let's say for example is digit, we can definitely use is digit. If we want to check if it is a space, we can definitely use is space. Okay, and alum, I have to confirm whether alum is actually there or not. Let us get started with the program here. String functions, checking the type, Python file. Now string check type. Okay, so now here we go. We'll go one by one. So our first message is hello. I'm just going to print here like hello and print message dot is alpha. Here is alum is there actually. Okay, is alpha, is space, is upper, is alum, is numeric, is ASCII, like is digit, okay, is decimal, and then is identifier, is lawyer. There are many. In string we are having like now 50 or 60 different methods, and understanding all these 50, 60 is going to take a lot of time. So what I can actually do is I can give you the examples of the real-time ones, like which you are going to deal with, like at least next couple of years, maybe at least next 5 years, 6 years, we're actually going to do coding in Python. These functions are actually going to help you. Now, the first one I'm just going to use here is like is message is actually alphabet. Okay, in this case, is message MSG is alphabet. It is definitely going to return as a Boolean value. Okay, so now let us look at here. So if I'm running this program, here it is here it is giving me message actually true because it is only alphabets. Now, if I am going to do the same thing with message one is containing alphabets in small case and capital case, and as well as here you can see a space. So in this case, space is there, so it is definitely going to return us as actually false. Why false? Because space is not actually alphabet. Okay, so message one, it is going to print as false because it contains space. Now here you can see it is printing like a true and false. Now message two is actually containing alphabets and digits. Then I'm just going to print here. Here I'm going to print here. Guys, are you able to hear me? Message two. Here I'm just giving message two, and is alum. Is it alphanumeric? Okay, let's say for example, real-time example, like you are actually constructing passphrase, okay, which will be used by the users. Okay, programmatically you are constructing it, and then you are checking like, or programmatically you are going to validate like whether the input is actually alphanumeric or not. If it is not alphanumeric, throw error saying like no, the input should be alphanumeric. So in that case, what we can do is we can specify the message to dot is alnum. Like if it is containing alphanumeric, so it is actually going to give us as actually true. So here you can see it is true. Now, if I'm giving like message 4, is message 4 containing all the spaces, I can specify here message 4 message 4 dot is space. If space is actually going to validate like whether it is a space, only contains space, then in that case we can identify if it is containing space or not. Let's say if I'm running this program, it is actually going to give us true because it is containing only spaces. Now the next one here, message 5, if I'm giving like print message 5 dot, let's say here we do have numerics, we do have alphabets. Here you see like whenever the condition is the message should contain alphabets and numbers. Okay, alphabets and numbers, and as well as special characters. There is nothing like is special. I don't have anything like no is special. So now in this case, what we can actually do, we can actually check programmatically if my message contains any alphabets. Okay, so now here in this case, you can see if you are actually familiar with like a regular expression, so you can actually do it differently. So far we do not actually cover that, so that's fine. So now here we can actually, what we can do, we can check like is it containing alphanumerics? Is it containing alphanumerics, only alphanumerics? Then if returns false, then definitely it contains space and any other special characters. Okay, then like here you can see if message 5 containing special characters, then you should use message.isAlnum is false. Is it like containing alphabets and numerics? The if the result is actually false, that means it contains space or any other special characters. So in this case, if I'm running this program, now here you can see it false. Now the last one, it is containing like space as well as alphabets and numbers. Now if I'm giving print message 6 dot is alnum. Okay, is alnum is alphanumeric. In this case, what it is going to do is it is actually going to print as false because it contains spaces too. So now if I'm running this program, you can see it here like it is returning false. Now the last one, message 7, here I'm just giving like print and message 7 dot is digit. Let us say like now, if it is digit, what it is going to return? The message 7 value, what it is going to return? It is actually returning true. Okay. Now, if I am going to check, there is something known as is numeric. Is it numeric? Is numeric. Okay, now let us see what is going to happen here. Okay, so now here you can also see like now is numeric and is like now is digit. Now, if you want to actually understand what this is numeric is doing, here you can see the description. Just focus on like now if you are using PyCharm, you want to understand any function. Let's say for example, if it is print, just focus on print, you will get the definition, the syntax, like what it is going to do. Most of the cases you can actually get meaningful information. Let us try to understand like what is the difference between is digit and is numeric. Now here you can see if it is digit, it is going to return true if the string is a numeric string. False otherwise. If string is numeric, if all the characters in the string are numeric and there is at least one character in the string, okay, basically in that case what it is going to do is a string is numeric if all characters in the string are numeric and there is at least one character in the string. That means at least one digit we should have, minimum one digit we should have, and all the digits, I mean all the characters should be actual digits only. Now is digit, now is digit, what it is doing, return true if the string is a digit string. False otherwise. A string is a digit if all the characters in the string are digit and there is at least one character in the string. Okay. In the Python documentation, we can definitely go ahead, learn more about like now is digit and is like what you call is digit and is numeric. So these are like various type of type checks what we are actually going to deal with. Like let's say for example, if you want to actually see like what are the other type of check we can actually do. Let's say for example, message 7 dot if you're typing like is, you can find out like is digit, I've explained numerics, and then alnum, alpha, space, upper. I can actually is upper, is lower, and all these things we can actually check. Is decimal and all these things you can actually check. Let's say is upper, is lower. I'm just going to check. Let me check this one. Okay. Now let me write one more program. Then there we can actually implement is upper and is lower. So now here string type methods, okay, or string check method. Now here we go. Now let's say I'm just giving here, let's say str1 equals to string1 equals to input of enter a string. Okay, input of enter a string. Now I want to check if it is null. Now if not str, if not str1, this is something which you can actually say like print. I'm just putting like the validations here. Input cannot be null. Input cannot be null. Then we can actually exit the program from here. Exit the program from here. If input is null, then exit the program. Let's say for example, if I'm giving like the control shift F10, here you see like if I'm giving enter, I'm just like getting the output saying input cannot be null. Now if I'm running this program and giving like 2, 3 or 4 spaces, it is not printing anything because input is not null. Now if your second requirement is if it is space elif str1 dot each space, this space is actually going to print like so return true if the input is containing only spaces. Here you can say like print input cannot be space, okay. So input cannot be space. Now let me run this program. If you're running this program giving like no spaces, it is saying input cannot be space. Earlier it was not showing this message. Now if it is not null, it is not space, then I want to check if the input is actually alphanumeric. If the input is alphanumeric, then we are actually good. Let's say elif str1 dot is alnum. If it is only alphanumerics, then print. Let's say I'm just giving password complexity looks fine. Looks fine, okay? Else, I can say print password complexity did not meet the requirement. Okay, let us see here. So these are like real-time use cases. I'm saying like we can actually validate anything. Like you can validate digits, like for a customer ID, you can validate an email address and all these things. So everything we can actually do. Let's say sit here. Now enter a string and just given hello 123. It is saying password complexity looks fine. Like whenever we are actually giving is alum, what it is actually going to return, if the input can be a set of characters, can be like all characters can be actually alphanumeric, and there is at least one character in the string. Let's say for example, if I'm giving hello, like what is going to happen, let us see. This is quite interesting. It is actually saying like the password complexity looks fine because it can contain, let's say when I'm checking like alphanumerics, it can contain alphabet and it can contain numerics or it can contain both. Okay, and when we are actually giving numbers, it is actually giving okay only numbers, so it is only digits. So in that case, this program is actually going to tell us like password complexity looks fine. So you should understand like how it is working. Like 1 2 3 4 5, it is going to tell me like password complexity looks fine. If a requirement is to have at least one digit and then at least one alphabet and then at least one alphabet, at least one digit, then we can say this password complexity looks fine. Then how do we do it? How do we do it? In that case, we should actually look for like occurrences of digits. Let's say for example, I want to check whether the string is containing at least one 0 to 9 regular expression match. Basically, if you're familiar with grep, e grep, f grep, and the regular expressions, basically basic regular expression, interval regular expression, tagged regular expressions, right? And then you can actually correlate and understand what I'm actually talking. There is a library or module you can say in Python. In terms of Python, it is a model. We can actually import that particular modular package that is known as RE. RE stands for regular expressions. Using regular expression, we can definitely manage the complex requirement pretty well as compared to these methods. Okay, so for password complexity requirement and other sorts criteria and all, we can actually do that. So now let me write one more program. Let's say, for example, I want to actually make it a requirement. Let's say my requirement is I'll be reading a country name, and the country name should not contain space. Sorry, country name should not contain digits. Now, how do I actually do that? Let's say string method example is giving it here, and I'm just writing it here. Let's say enter a country name. I'm just giving a meaningful name over here, like country name. Enter country name. Country name. If not country name, that means the country name is null. Then I can say here like country name cannot be null. Country name cannot be null. And then if the country name contains only space, country name cannot be only space. Country name cannot be only space. Okay, now here we can actually definitely do, let's say if we can check if it is containing only alphabets, let's say LPHA, only alphabets, then we can say the or we can, here we can see like welcome to welcome to country name. Okay, welcome to country name. Else here I'm just giving invalid country name. There are interesting edge cases where it is going to fail. I'm just going to tell you that. So now look at here. Now country name, we are actually putting it here, right? So now I'm just running the program. Here I'm just giving like enter the country name. I just given like India. Now here you can see it is not str1, it is actually cn because I've copy pasted the program and forget to like change here. So cn here. Okay. So now if I'm running this program and giving like India, then here you can see again str, somewhere I'm using str. So let me see where it went. One moment, cn is input, enter the country name. If not cn, then country name cannot be null. Then if cn is space, then country name cannot be only space. Ellipse cn.alpha, then welcome to country name, and then print in the little country. What is the error message? Let me see. cn.alpha, that is alpha. That is alpha. That is alpha, not alpha. Okay. So now Control Shift F10. Here you can see enter the country name India, and here you can say like getting the error message, getting the output as welcome to India. But if I'm running this program, think about like this Control Shift F10 to run the program. I'm just giving like A. It is actually saying welcome to A. Let's say you want to actually put a condition saying the country name should, the input should like input should be more than 5 characters or more than 3 characters. Okay, so now what we can actually do here is if length of cn less than 3, there are country names we can actually use like the US for United States, and we can specify like in UK for United Kingdom. So it should be less than 2. Less than 2 is actually 1. We can directly give like equals to 1. Let's say equals to 1. Okay, so then here what I can say, print invalid input, and then I want to actually exit. I can specify exit. Guys, remember when I'm giving like exit, if you're familiar with any exit functions in C, C++, Java, Python, Java, Shell, and all, exit we can actually give like non-zero values too. So if you want to actually give non-zero values, let's say not 0 by default, we can actually definitely give non-zero value here. And similarly, in this case also, we can actually exit with a non-zero value. Okay, print. So now, if I'm running this program, here we go. Here you can see, enter the country name. I'm just giving, let's say, UK. It is saying like now welcome to UK. Now if I'm giving like A, it is actually saying invalid input. So many kind of operations we can actually do here. Now here you can see if I'm giving a country name something like this, let's say F10, and I'm just giving United States. In United States, what it is going to do, let us look at the condition. This condition is not going to be executed. This condition is actually not going to be executed. Then elif cn space is space, this condition is also not going to be executed. Then it is going to check, is it like only alphabets? This condition is actually not going to be executed because it's content space. So it is actually going to give us invalid country name. Let us look at here. Now, if I'm running this program, it is saying like invalid country name. How do we handle it? Regular expression is a suitable fit here. Okay. So if your requirement is to contain alphabets and then spaces. Okay. The each, let's say for example, here you can see it contains alphabets. or it can actually contain one or more spaces. We can actually do that. There are actually various string operations we are going to learn. Once we are actually familiar with that, we can actually handle it. But my suggestion will be like using regular expressions or a better approach, we can actually deal with this. So whenever your requirement is to deal with like a type, these are the functions which are actually going to help you like to understand like how to deal with the type. So now if I want to validate something in the string type itself, let me write another function, Python file. Let's say again, string type example2. Okay, so now I'm having a like a message. Let's say my message is uh, let's say hello and then world. Okay, hello world. Now if I'm giving print message dot each title case is the first character of each word should be in capital case. So in this case, hello world, H is capital, W is also capital. So it is actually going to give me title case is true. But if I'm going to change like hello world, in this case, if I'm running this program, it is going to give me false because it is not matching with the title case. Let me do one thing. Let me copy paste this and give you example here. Message of two is hello world and then message is title, then it is going to give us false, give us true. Now if I'm having something like this, like hello world. Now in this case, let's say message of three, I'm just giving here message of three and message should be like no message of two. So this will be false because it is not matching. Title case is the first character should be capital case, remaining characters should be actually small case. But here everything is in capital case. So this is going to give us false. The second one is actually going to give us true. The first one is actually going to give us false. If I'm running this program, here you can see this false, true, and false. Now, if I'm having the data in this format, let's say, for example, my name equals to Subhasis in capital case. Okay, so now if I'm giving like now print name dot age upper, it is definitely going to give us true because it is all in uppercase. If I'm giving print name dot age lower, his name is lowercase, then in this case it is actually going to give me false. So now here you go. So it is true and false. If you are familiar with like now a Unix command tr stands for translation. So we can actually use tr for translation. In cd, we do use like no transformation. So we do have like no transformation in SCD, and here we are having like my is lower, is upper, lower and upper to convert the cases as per your requirement. So these are the functions to deal with like now various title cases. Okay, so now let me tell you a few more examples on string function. Let's say your requirement is to find out the count, basically like you want like a count of characters or count of string or count of substring or count of digits, like how do we count it? Okay, so then I'm just going to tell you, let's say if you're actually going to search for something, you are searching for like a particular character or a substring, then how do you identify whether it is actually present or not? Okay, so now let me tell you that is my count. Now new Python file is giving example str method or str count. I'm just giving like an count. This is count example. Okay, Python file here. Now I'm just giving message equals to world is open source. Now I want to do the count. I want the count of, let's say, print message dot count Here I want the count of what? Count of, let's say for example, I'm just going to count the E, character E. Okay, the count character E. Now if I'm running this, you can see like how many times E is present. E is present 2 times. One is in open, then the second one is in source. Let's say world is open source. Let's say for example, I want to find out the count of let's say world count of world. So now in this case it is going to give us 0 because count is actually case sensitive. Okay, it is giving us 0. Count is case sensitive. Now if I'm giving like world here exact case, it is going to give us as 1, going to give us as 1. Now if I'm running this program, here you can say 0 and 1. If your requirement is world in any case, world in any case, then what I can actually do, message dot I can convert it to uppercase. Then once I'm converting it to uppercase, I'm just checking is world is present. It is actually going to give me 1. Now I want to check here print message dot lower dot count of, I'm just checking is SOU or C is present, or we can definitely give like the same one like world in small case. In this case, it is actually going to give us as 1. You can convert it to the case, and then you can actually go ahead, get the count. Let's say for a specific character, for example, here like now I'm just counting message dot lower dot message dot lower dot. Here I'm just giving message dot lower dot, let's say count of, maybe I can use uppercase upper here, and then count of let's say capital case E. Now here if I'm giving like converting to uppercase then counting capital case E, it is going to give me 2. Okay, so now if I'm running this program, here you can see it is giving us 2. Now let us explore further, like this program, what I'm going to do is, let's say this is my character base count. Let's say, for example, you want to understand like, how many consonants are actually present, okay? And vowels are actually present. So now let us like calculate how many vowels are actually present here. Let's say STR, let's say vowel count. Here you can see, so the vowels are okay. I can actually do this way, so don't worry about it. So now here I can do like for ch in message, for ch in message. Here I can say if ch is in message, then I want to print it, for example, okay? I want to print the character. What it is going to do? One character per line. So it will be like world in open source in the vertical line. So now here you can see like world is in open source, okay? In the vertical order. So now my requirement is I want to count how many A, E, I, O, U is present in this, okay? Now I'm just giving vowel count initialized to 0. Now here I'm just going to check if ch in, let's say ch dot lower in any case, I'm just giving lower in A, E, I, O, U. And what kind of operator it is? This is a membership operator. We have gone through like many examples there. Now here I can say BC plus equals to 1. So vowel count will be incremented by 1. So now if I'm giving here like print total VC vowel count, total VC equals to VC. That's it. Now A, E, I, O, U. I'm just giving here like some random values over here. Okay, and just giving like A, E, E, I, O, U. Okay, so now let us see like what is the value we are going to get it from here. Now here you can see the vowel counts is actually 20. Now if you want how many spaces are there, you can definitely count. Let's say for example, if it is vowel count, give vowel count. If it is space, you can definitely ch dot is space, is space, ch dot is space. I can actually do sp count, spc space count plus equals to 1. Now SPC, I can initialize, this kind of initialization is also possible. SPC1 equals to 0, comma 0. So this is also possible. Now vowel count is VC and space count is whatever the spaces are actually there. It is going to count how many spaces are actually there. Okay. So now total SPC equals to SPC. Okay. So now this is SPC. So now if I'm running this program, here you can see it is saying a total 8 spaces. Let us count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 spaces. If 8 spaces are there, then how many words? Then total word count I can specify here. Total word count is word count is SPC plus 1. This many words. So now if you're familiar with my Unix commands, wc hyphen c character count, wc hyphen w for word count, wc hyphen l for word count. So while dealing with files, we'll just count the words. Now let me do here let's say for example, you want cc character count, and I've just initialized to 0 as well. Now let us see, we can actually initialize the value to 0 true, VC, SPC, CC equals to 0 directly. We can specify VC equal to SPC equal to CC equals to 0. Either you can do this way or you can actually do this way. Okay, which one you feel comfortable, you can definitely go ahead, use that. So we can actually do this way. If you are actually using this way, then the identity will be the same, and then later point of time it is going to change. So now that is fine. So if you want to do it in a separate line, let's say for example, character count we have actually initialized to 0. Now reading any character, I'm just blindly giving now cc plus equals to 1. Now total characters I can specify here, print total character count equal to cc character count. Okay, so now I'll just tell you, now guys, this is a costly solution. Why costly solution? I'm just telling, total character count is 39. Do we really need to, count the characters using the for loop? The answer is straight no. You should not actually use CC. This is not preferable. Don't do this. Don't do this way. Why? We do have a length function. Directly give length, and then here we can actually give the message. So now here we say now what is the count here? Here it is also giving 39. You really don't need a loop to do the things. If you don't know the existing methods what it is going to do, then you'll end up writing your own methods. Okay, so these are various types of string comparison, string operators what you can actually do. Sorry, string methods what you can actually do to deal with the strings, and there are few more string operations, okay, which we can actually deal with. Let's say for example, if I'm giving here, let's say message dot, here you can see these are the string function: upper, lower, title, capitalize, space, count, is lower, is upper, is title, is alnum, is numeric. It is now list of string functions are there. These are formatting. Also formatting we have actually gone through and yesterday, and then we'll just go through it again, so don't worry about it. So then here we can definitely specify the center. I'm just going to tell you, whenever we are actually going to deal with the menu driven programs, we can definitely deal with center is to to put something in the center in the screen, and we can actually do that. Partition is there, join is there, replace is there, L strip, R strip, find, index is there. So we'll just go through it. Like, one more, this is the last program for today. I'm just going to write. Let me tell you this, okay? Now, whenever you want to actually type something, let me go to my session, and the center is a example, like, how do you put anything in the center? Let's say, for example, I have a message equals to, let me write it in a program so that I can share it to you. So now, Python file, str, center, example, okay? Now here I have, like, message equals to hello, hello. Now here if I'm giving, like, print message dot center, message dot center, then here i can I can specify the width of characters. Basically, let's say I'm just giving, like, 10 or 50. I'm just giving, I think there is some syntax error over here. Let me figure it out. No, it is not. So now 50, this is what I can actually see, like, the message is here. Okay, now if I'm giving, to understand, like, where exactly is it, 50 characters here or 50 characters on the right side? Got 25 here and 25 after the hello. Let us try to understand that. So here you can specify a character. We can specify a character, let's say, for example, hyphen. Now let us see, like, what is going to happen here. Here you can see the first one is hello, it is printing here, and the hello is printing here. So as I said, whenever you are dealing with menu driven programs, you can actually deal with this. Let's say if you want to, like, have it in the asterisk mark, don't type asterisk mark, use the inbuilt functionalities of, like, functionality of Python. And okay, sorry, it should be one character. So whenever you're actually learning this, here you can see, like, now hello, like this. Okay, so any menu driven program, you can actually do it this way. Let's say message is null. What it is going to do now, if I'm running this program, message is null, it is actually going to print like this. It is same as, like, now printing asterisk mark 50 times using the repetition or replication operator. So if I'm giving, like, hello world, or, like, here I can say application management console. Okay, and running this program, here you can see, like, use center. You can see if you need this, or you need this way, or you need this way, we can definitely do this. Okay, so this is how we can actually deal with, like, the center. Let me tell you one more example on index and find, and then we can conclude the session for today. Now string, then index, find, example. So now here we go. Let's say message equals to hello, welcome to the world of Python. Okay. Now I want to know where exactly world is present. Now here I can specify print, let's say message dot index of. Here I can specify. Here we can actually specify world. Okay, so now if I'm running this program, here you can see it is actually present at 23. To understand it better, let's say, for example, w is present here in capital case, w is present here in small case, and then I want, like, the place of w, like where exactly w is present. Okay, capital case w is present. I can specify index of w. It is going to give me like it is present at 8. Let's say if I have a message, let's say msg equals to a a b b c c d e. Okay, now I want to print the index, sorry, message dot index, or msg dot index here, msg dot index of, I'm just looking for what is the index of a. It is the first occurrence. So here it is present at first character. So first character is a, so we are going to get as 1 or 0. Sorry, index is 0, index starts with 0. So now here if it is B, it should be like 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's, if I'm giving like B, it is going to give me 3. If I'm going to give like BB, is BB is present, it is going to again give me 3 because BB is exactly at index 3, starting at index 3. Now, if I'm going to give like BBB, BBB, in this case, what it is going to do, it is going to give us a 0 because it is not present. This pattern is actually not present. Sure. Now look at here. So what is saying here is like value or substring is not found. So this is actually value error. Substring is not found. So we do have like without error. Let's say for example, if it is not present, then it should not throw error. Then instead of index, you just give find. The difference between find and index is find is going to return 0. It will return 0. Return 0. Okay, now look at here. Okay, so now what is happening here? Value error substring is not found, so that's fine. I'll just move it later, I think. Let me comment it and then run this program. Sorry, -1, it will return -1. If it is not present, it is going to return -1, not 0. So now, let's say, for example, you can actually think about like now why index and find is there. Let's say the password doesn't contain, let's say user has actually given some input and that input doesn't contain a special character, and you have to like regenerate the passphrase, automatic passphrase. Let's say, for example, enter a password of your choice in the screen, and I've just given like Subbu, but the system is saying like Subbu cannot be used. A suggested password is something. So in that case, you can actually look for an index of a special character. You can actually index of like maybe you are having. I have seen like many websites they do support like @ or any other characters they support right now. But in earlier days, you cannot use @ in the password, or you cannot use pound in the passphrase. You cannot use exclamation in the passphrase. So in those cases, you can actually use index. Index is programmatically you need to handle the error using try catch block. Like whenever you are using index, you must handle the error using try and accept or expect. Okay, expect. Okay, so now that is try and expect is that is exception handling actually. Okay, exception handling, and that is our like topic is there like towards end of Python session. We are going to learn that, and then we can actually implement. So whenever programmatically you want to handle the error, like if the string doesn't contain particular string, then that there should be some business functions like now getting executed. In that case, you can actually handle it programmatically. You can do the same thing using find also. It is not going to throw any error. If the result is -1, do the operation. But there are two kinds of implementation. One is index. Whenever you need like an error, you can actually go ahead with index. Whenever you want to actually find the match is not there, it is going to return as -1. If you focus on find here, you can actually see it here like a return -1 on failure. Okay, but if I'm going for like an index, basically let me try it here. Like if I'm going for index here, like index, it is going to raise this value error. That is exactly like it is well documented. If you are using PyCharm or some other editor where it is supported, you can actually get the clear-cut instructions here. Let's say what index is doing, just focus on it. You can read it through. You really don't need any other like documentation sites or like any other document slides or any PDFs to understand like how the things are actually working. You can definitely use this. Okay, so with this we are done for today, and thank you all.